Good morning, everyone. We welcome you to the New York Showcase. Thank you so much for attending.
Our New York City trip was such a great experience. Out of all the groups, I definitely think that our group formed the quickest. In September, we started planning by picking our topics. We ended up picking street vending and Macy's Day Parade.
But as the days crept closer and closer, it became apparent that those topics were too much for us to handle. The corporate offices failed to take us seriously, which they should, so we drew our plans and decided on New York University archives and a fun little ice cream shop called the Big Gay Ice Cream.
Soon after booking these interviews, we set out to the big city, and little did we know how much fun it would be, especially because we got a real New York experience with all the walking we had to do, as well as riding the subway.
Since we did most of our traveling on foot, we had to try and find ways to pass the time. Our favorite way of doing this was introduced by our chaperone, Mr. Moore. Every time we would pass a food truck, we would yell out, "Street meat!" And now we are known as the Street Meat Crew.
But by the end of the trip, we were all completely drained. When we returned to school, it was an interesting process to import and edit all of the video we had. And while we had hours and hours of video, I have to say to anybody going to New York to film a documentary, you can never have too much footage.
As the day for Showcase gained on us, both documentaries seem to be making good progress. Unfortunately, our original history project on New York University had terrible sound quality, so we decided to scrap the whole thing and start fresh, and I am beyond glad that we had the opportunity to work over spring break, or else we wouldn't have finished.
So before we start, we would just like to make a couple thank yous. First, of course, our chaperone, Mr. Moore. He was great. It was great to be with him. And then also everyone who coordinated, Mr. Nelson, Miss Barkley. Thank you for that, too. And all the parents, too, who paid your money to have the trip. So thank you.
And now, without further ado, the documentaries we worked so hard on. I hope you enjoy it.
My name is Jake, and I'm the manager of the Big Gay Ice Cream Shop. Well, it actually started off as a joke. The owners, Doug Quint and Brian Petroff, Doug was a bassoonist, and there was a woman named Miss Softy who was also a musician who started off a food truck as well, and we're looking for more, creative people, such as Doug. And Doug started working on a food truck, started his own ice cream truck. And one day, on a blog, he joked around that everyone should follow him around his Big Gay Ice Cream truck. And it just stuck, and that's how the name came about. Well, for a while it was just a food truck. This was its third season, so for 2 seasons it was just the food truck. Starting this year, we started prepping everything here. The food truck would show up here around noon. We would prep for it, pick up all the stuff. It would go out for the day, and then it would come back maybe 6-7 hours later, drop everything off. So it is the same in a certain sense of how we prep everything, but in terms of separate entities, they're 2 different things. And you just can't sell as many products. On our menu, the stuff down the middle were all stuff that we offered, but everything else is stuff that we couldn't offer. We couldn't make shakes, we couldn't offer drinks. It was just standard chocolate and vanilla ice cream, and then the signature items that we made. But here, we have so much space, we can be creative, and we can offer so much more. So today's myself gets here about 11 o'clock. We do an hour worth of prep, set everything up. It's generally slow between 12 and about 5 o'clock. Then we usually get a crowd before dinner time, and after dinner it gets crazy busy. We do 90% of our sales at the end of the day. Well, it's a small store, and usually we get pretty busy. So, it's important to keep the employees and the customers in an orderly fashion. I don't know if you guys were here the first week we opened, but there was a line all the way down the block. And it was pretty hectic, and definitely on weekend nights it gets pretty hectic. And everyone wants their ice cream, and everyone's fighting for it. So it's important to keep everyone happy, but be efficient at the same time. A lot of the stuff we make, the ice cream we actually get from it's a premium commercial mix that we use from a farm out in New Jersey. It's great quality. A lot of the stuff we make, other stuff we get from a variety of specialized vendors that we have relationships with and that have premium quality products. We pretty much just sell soft-serve ice cream. We make our own variations of it. We have a list of signature toppings that we come up with and the creations we put together. But we actually also sell our partner stuff here. We sell Melt Bakery ice cream sandwiches, La Neoquina popsicles, which are Mexican paletas, and Danny macaroons. They're all vendors who sell, the Portland Flea Market, the High Line, the Hester Street Fair, the people we've collaborated with in the past, so we enjoy some of their products here. I love the people I work with, and we also sell a great product, and it's enjoyable being around people you love, and having customers come in and putting a smile on their face every day, and just making other people happy.
B. Arthur with vanilla wafer crumbs. They're gone now. Preservation and Conservation Department, also known as the NYU Preservation Lab, houses many age materials, including posters, books, film, and artwork. They focus on extending the life of such objects by using a variety of methods to preserve.
Posters, mostly stuff from the 60s, kind of radical political movements. They came down just like this. They're all rolled. And this isn't the greatest way to keep these guys stored, because after a while the paper will get really brittle, and then when you go to unroll them, the paper will just break.
Yeah.
So we're humidifying and blacking.
That's the word you hear about the humidity in the summer. The humidity's up, so that means it's moisture, right? So when we say we're humidifying them, we put them in a small container and we increase the moisture, so we increase the relative humidity. The paper absorbs that and it relaxes. Literally, that's the word we use, and it lays out nice and flat.
Books are another material they preserve here. Laura McCann is the conservation librarian and rejuvenates all sorts of books.
In the case of special collections, we don't want to just throw out the covers because it's in the special collection. The cover itself has, the object itself has value. With this book, the cover was detached from the text box, but I did a process where we reattached the original cover. And I don't know, if you look close, you can see that there's new material. You can tell it's been repaired. We're not trying to make it look brand new again. We just want to make it look kind of sympathetic and, retain all the original materials.
Another thing they preserve here is artwork, and they're currently preserving work from an art therapist.
Her name is Edith Kramer, and actually she's still alive. She's in her 90s, and she lives in Austria. But she lived in the United States for a long period of time, and she is considered to be the founder of art therapy, the idea of using art to as a therapeutic process for people to work out their issues, problems, whatever. And she painted herself, but she also did a lot of work with children. and she collected some of the work that these kids did. And it's very interesting, sometimes disturbing, but Edith also was not, shall we say, profligate in her spending. So the materials that she frequently used both for herself and for these students was not the most expensive paper, not the best paper. Sometimes it was even on fiberboard or materials that were crumbly. So the challenge for Laura and Lou and Angela was to actually, first of all, stabilize them so they don't disintegrate even more, and then to try to put them, not gluing them, but just to piece things together almost like a puzzle so you could get the idea of what the original image was, and then to house them so that they would be safe. What we'll probably do with most of this stuff, though, is create digital facsimiles for people to look at, and probably restrict pulling out the originals only for specific reasons where a researcher just needs to see the original.
These are connected to case studies where she talks about a client, and the issues that that client is working out and how this artwork relates to that issue. And so there's interest in these from people who are studying to be art therapists.
Right. What we do is we take them off the boards. This one was on a board just like this. And we take off the tape, again, tape, bad, and there's like tears here, you can see a little bit. It's also quite dirty, the surface. There's a lot of what we call accretions, the things that have attached to it. So we'll remove all those and then get rid of that tape, and then hinge it onto a board so that, because it's still, the paper, like Nancy said, is really, she used cheap materials, probably not that different than, some of the stuff when you were younger you had in art spots.
Last week, they presented film. Alice Moscato is a film specialist at the Media Preservation Unit.
So here we basically take care of the films coming from the special collections. So sometimes the curator gives us like a kind of film, like this, and the curator has like an element like this that came to the library a long time ago. It's like, how do you view this? And so we actually have those benches here where we put the reels of films, and we can, with a light box down here, look at it like winding through the film and to try to either identify it, see what kind of, is it black and white, is it color, does it have sound, is it, kind of a positive image or a negative, can it be projected onto a projector or a Steam Deck, which is this machine, where we can actually play the film, going through those very kind of graph, and if it has sound, we can hear the sound of the film, and we can actually view through the screen here. We can do all the kind of identification process down here, and also give kind of recommendation in terms of, for the film to kind of live for a long time, it should be kept in those kind of nice blue cans. We need to store it at a certain temperature and a certain humidity, because if it's too warm or too humid, then it tends to kind of deteriorate.